Hey everybody, Wendy Clinky with Blue Cat Studio. Welcome to another edition of our lunch and paint. So I found this super cool mason jar at the dollar store. Hi! Check it out. It's so shiny. You can see my reflection in it. I kind of love that. Anyway, I'm going to attempt to remove anyways, this the wire thing or the rope thing. Again, this was $1.25 because dollar store has raised their prices. Hi. You can also get a cool wood one. So let's start with this guy here and see what we can do. Since I'm going to begin with gesso to give it a little bit of a prime, I'm just going to use an old palette and then set it aside because otherwise I'm liable to mix up my gesso with my regular paint. And gesso is really more of a primer and it creates a really beautiful flat kind of surface. So this full disclosure, I have not tested this on the metal, so it might be a total disaster. It's looking a little bit crazy. You might want to end up having to sand this thing before you go full bore. So not my favoriteest coating. Oh boy. Do you ever have that minute where you think maybe we just are going to have to do like something else on this? All right. So that's roughed it up a little bit. I'm going to dry it and then see if I can come in with a second coat of paint. Because it's so shiny, the stuff really doesn't want to stick. So another option would be to like start with a collage base. In fact, I'm so feeling that idea of a collage base, I'm going to flip this sucker over and say, all right, starting over. So decoupage stuff. I know you guys look at that. I'm like, hey, we're going to do the thing and then we're going to change our minds. So this is Collage Podge. I use this. I use Mod Podge. I just kind of use whatever. And I've got a little bit of gesso on this guy. Again, I don't really care. I'm just trying to get like a good base coat. Well, that stuff is sticking. That's good. So I'm going to give it a solid coating of the Collage Podge. And it will dry mostly clear. Granted, I've kind of got a little gesso going on, so we might get a white tint. And I'm going to grab some handy dandy sheet music, which I happen to have sitting around because that's what we do. And I'm going to just kind of place it along the edge here and kind of wipe it down. And I'm just going to tear bits and collage it on. I think that's going to be the easiest route. And I'm going right over the edges because as this stuff dries, it's super easy to just, what am I trying to say? It's super easy to just give it a little bit of a rub with sandpaper and your edges will come out real clean. So we'll just keep doing that. So anyways, this is, again, it's $1 from Dollar Tree. It's so shiny. I think they over polished it. So it's making it hard for like regular paint to stick. So again, sheet music. And you know, I was on Amazon looking the other day and I discovered that you can actually buy the opera scores just like the ones I have. And they've got a bunch of them. So any of the ones that you see, and if you want a link, I can happily send you a link. But any of them that have this type of cover on them, guaranteed has, you know, pages upon pages of beautiful sheet music. This one's pretty empty because I've been using it like crazy. But you know, it's lots and lots and lots of projects worth. And so they range anywhere, and you know, they're anywhere from like, you know, 16 to 30 bucks. Obviously, unless you're really, really particular about your music, I would say you could just go for the cheapest one and be like, I'm good. Now, if you are a musician and have really strong connection to the music, then you may want to pay the extra and get your favorite. But not all of us are born with both art skills and musical skills, especially me. I've only got art skills. So again, if you're interested in a link for sheet music, just for a quick and easy, I'm happy to post that as soon as I'm done with this live. In fact, I found one that was better priced than the rest. I haven't opened that particular one up, but it is a full opera score. And so as long as you're getting a full opera score, you should be good. So adding a little bit more of this Collage Podge. And again, I have a little bit of gesso in my brush, namely because we did a quick direction change. And so some of my collage stuff is going to come out a little bit lighter or a little bit more washed out than others because it's got bits of that gesso in it. So just getting that coating. And luckily for us, this Collage Posh stuff dries real fast. So I should be able to come in and get painting on this in just a minute. So again, I'm just kind of ripping up sheet music, and I love kind of the piece together look. And look at this guy here. Need a little bit more Collage Posh. Again, if you're joining me and you're there, please feel free to say hi. If you have questions, let me know. So the other way you can find opera scores sometimes is like if you go thrifting, sometimes you can find them there or use bookstores. But again, it's also nice to kind of have a sense of like what they go for on the open market so that you're not spending more for them accidentally at a thrift store than you might like on the market. And again, I'm always trying to find you guys sort of where's the easy button for getting something done. I don't want this to be intimidating. And I also don't want it to be expensive because as we use a whole range of different materials. Hey, Cassie, how you doing? Thanks for saying hi. As we use a range of different materials. All right, now I've got it glued to my surface. Here we go. So yeah, there it is. Oh, this started to dry. Maybe we'll flip it over and do a project on either side. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a quick dry. And now I know for sure that as long as this sheet music sticks, that I will be good to proceed with this project, and my paint will now stick. So even if we end up covering all the sheet music, no big deal. We now have a good substrate. Okay, that's pretty close. I had a sanding block. Do I still have my sanding block? Oh, I do. Check this out. Can't remember if I got this guy at the dollar store or somewhere else, but you can just kind of sand right along those edges. So that part came off. Look at that. It's perfect. The other thing you want to be careful of with this dollar store one, again, I just got this at the Dollar Tree on my way home from the office yesterday. I was like, hey, let's go see what they've got. And I was really excited to see a good mason jar. Be careful of the edges. They can be a little bit sharp. So this sanding that I'm doing right now is almost double duty because it's going to take any of the sharp edges kind of off that metal and soften them up a little. A few bits. You can flip over and see how it's going. Oops. I don't know if we'll demand perfection here. As long as we get most of the way, I can always tune the edges a little bit more after it dries. But I just don't want huge pieces like flying out and off so that I'm, trying to figure out where my edges are. Okay, let's call it good. And yeah, so see, here's that coating and it scratches off really easy. So painting directly on that metal is not going to work so well. Oh, so Cassie asked a great question. Does any sheet music page or do any sheet music pages work, or is there a difference? Any sheet music works. However, I find that something like an opera tends to be fairly complex. And when it's complex, it means there's a lot more musical notes, a lot more stuff densely packed in. So it's interesting. That's why I love opera. It's why I love opera sheet music. I love opera period, but I love opera sheet music as well. Like, for example, you just get these pages and pages of lots and lots going on. That's because this, yeah. And this isn't, I don't think this is like the orchestra portion. It's more the libretto. I think that's what they call it. The song part. I don't know. I don't know all my terms. But that's why I like the opera stuff, again, because it's real complicated. If you get like sheet music, like I had a book that was like, beginner piano with Imagine Dragons. It's much, much simpler and it'll work, but you don't get the density of notes, and then they might not peek through as much. So it's me being selfish. I want all the things. So we're going to begin with like a blue base, just grabbing some Bahama blue. And I think, let me move this guy out of the way. So removing the Collage Podge. If you don't have Collage Podge, you can also use Mod Podge. And again, you can get one of these. This is the matte finish. We like matte finish because it takes the paint better and it takes anything else you do on it better. It's $1 at the dollar store. Probably now $1.50 because again, that darn Rona inflation. And I'm going to add some white too. Holy moly, I'm finally making it through this whole tub of white. And let's get a medium to large size flat brush so that we can get a quick coat on this guy. I feel like this blue is a little bit extra, but we'll kind of get like a light kind of coating of it. And here's the cool part. Now I don't have to worry about full coverage because my musical notes peeking through might just make it more interesting and fun. So I initially intended this afternoon to make this just a straight up painting project. But I think since we're starting into the mixed media zone, we might continue with that. We could always cut out more pieces. Now, if you happen to have like wrapping paper or whatever, you could totally go with that. And we could cut out hearts and put them on, or we can paint them, or some combo thereof. So just getting some basic blue coating here. And then I'm going to come in with a little bit of white and start to lighten kind of in the center. And I'm going to leave a little edge all the way around of the slightly darker blue. So again, just grabbing the white and kind of blending it right in while I'm here, leaving an edge, maybe so if this guy is, what, 8 inches tall, maybe 10 inches, because my wood ones are 12 inches. So this guy is definitely smaller. I think it's maybe 8 inches to 9 inches. You want to leave like a 1/2 inch to a centimeter kind of space around it. Again, we don't have to be perfect, but we want to kind of create that sense of there being a glass wall. So just a little bit more emphasis of white kind of, again, on the inside. And then you could get a couple of streaks, whatever you like. So maybe little bits of, sheet music are still poking through. If we don't end up with any of it poking through, that's fine too. So Cassie says, I have a box of piano books the previous owner of my house left. You should totally, totally use it. Oh my gosh, like tear out a page and like paint on it, just like I did. So I find, of course, Cassie, you seem to be pretty prolific in the painting area. Let me blast this really quick. But I know that for the longest time, I would get intimidated by a blank canvas. So if I wanted to sketch or play or just kind of mess around and learn something and try something new, I was not willing to do it in a perfectly good white page. And so I would end up needing to do it on a piece of scratch paper. And that's where, like, tear out a piece of sheet music that's unloved, and suddenly it becomes zero risk. And then you're allowed to go experiment and try things. Now, maybe I'm the only weirdo who has that kind of block. It really could be. Okay, so now we want to get some hearts in here. I think I'm going to sketch a little bit. And of course, we're going to do those sweet hearts, with the messages on them. But I had this crazy idea. Like, what if we did, all those movies that they have somebody saying, I love you, but they don't say, I love you. They kind of say it. They kind of say it in a different way. Like Han Solo says, I know, to Princess Leia. Or in Ghost, doesn't he say ditto? So I'm like, I want a heart that says ditto. So don't mind me for being just a slightly weird, but that's what I'm feeling. So I'm just going to kind of draw some overlapping hearts here. So if this is I know, we'll get the letters on later. And ditto. Oh, Princess Bride, as you wish, right? That's a good one. I also wanted to figure out, like, how do you do, like, true love? Although I think that was, like, the Billy Crystal character was, like, to blaze. But I'm like, no. I can't write that in. So then we might just do, like, XOXO and Be Mine. And so you're just kind of varying the hearts. You can, like, sketch them in however you like. And just kind of overlapping. We're keeping it kind of simple and cute and apparently slightly wonky. So you have a soft eraser that'll lift that. Have to be gentle because we've got paint and stuff here. All right, so I think that's good. Like, it doesn't have to be completely full. Cassie says, I love that movie. Oh, which one? The Princess Bride? It's still like eminently quotable. That's the best part. Okay, so for colors in here, I know we're going to want kind of a pale greenish color, a pale yellow. Now I'm going to have to mix a light pink. I feel that we've sort of used up our welcome on light blue. So we could try a purple, and we'll have to mix that. I gotta look around, see what I've got here. And then what else do we need? What else do we need? Purple. Oh, we could do like a light orange, huh? Or maybe we can go with like a coral color. I think the coral will get us there. Because again, in here, it's really pastel. So even though your brain tells you it's yellow, those banana sweethearts, by the way, the best flavor, if you ask me. I love banana anything when it comes to fruit. It's so weird. All right, so I'm going to put a little bit of the coral. This is just cheapo Craft Smart. Any other coral will do as well. I have cactus flower. That one's a little too pink for me. Oh, I love this color though. We'll get a little bit of sweet mint. A little green here. And I think even once we get these colors kind of arrayed, then I always got like big old chunks of paint bogeys. Yellow. So the other thing I like this now that I've got it coated is it's not showing my reflection. I'm sort of ashamed to admit that I like nonstop. I'm always wearing hats indoors in the wintertime. Ooh. Here's it's a good purple, right? Yeah. So this is Lilac Meadow from Deco Art. I haven't even opened it yet. So we'll just maybe peel that plastic off. I'm going to try not to use my teeth. Sometimes you can twist, the opposite direction as if you're trying to tighten it, and it will loosen the plastic to get it to come right off, or right off-ish. So let's see, 5 colors. So okay, 5 and 5. So we'll do our sort of lilac color here. Ooh, I like it. I like it. And then of course pink, because you have to have pink. All right, so most of these straight out are good. The yellow needs to be toned down, but that's fine. All right, so grabbing a round brush, and we will, let's see, I think I want coral here. Do a little bit of a white. Oh, you know what? Here's a perfect opportunity to use up more of that gesso. If you're just joining and you kind of missed it, I started off by trying to gesso this. This is a metal, it's just a metal hanger thinger from the dollar store, but the metal was so slick that it wouldn't even take the gesso. The gesso was coming up kind of like oil and water. They just didn't mix. So I've got some gesso left over. So I'm going to use it to just prime the flowers, and that is going to help us big time in getting our colors in. So, and so if you don't have gesso, you can also use white paint. I just find that a lot of these white paints are a little bit like satin finish or a little bit light, whereas the gesso is a super matte. And so it takes pen, it takes color pencil, it takes paint, it takes everything. So again, just a quick, and notice I'm not doing a perfect job coating it. I'm just making it so I don't have to fight the blue with the other colors. And then we'll add the lettering a little later. Of course, my penmanship is total crap, so we'll see how that goes. But we've got all our cute, funny sayings already listed out. We're going to go with Ditto from Ghost, and As You Wish from Princess Bride, and True Love kind of as the second one. I was thinking, like, is there a good one from like Forrest Gump or anything? I don't think there is. But I wish there was. And I Know, which was our classic Han Solo to Leia. I want to say that was Empire Strikes Back, when they're like trying to vacate Hoth, because somebody really likes Star Wars. That's all I know. Okay, good. So we've got those guys primed. Give them a quick blast just so that we're not having mushy colors. Because the one thing is gesso, when you blend it with other colors, it does get a little bit mushy. While, sometimes that's cool. Other times it's not. Although honestly, when I think about this, like these kind of heart candies, they're always almost like powdery, huh? So maybe the gesso would be good. Well, we'll decide later. Some of these colors are so perfect as is, we're just gonna go with it. So we'll take the light green and we'll put him right here. And again, this is the sweet mint. So we'll just kind of, let's just blop it on. Let's get that color in there so that it's sort of set. So the idea is that we're going to do the basic blocking in. And then if we decide that we want to add some detail, we can. I kind of want to add like some shadows and stuff so they're not totally flat, which would be like a little shadow here, a little shadow here. In fact, yeah, baby steps. You know, you guys, I just want to do it right now. Stop me while I'm ahead. Okay, where's my offloading stuff? I don't know. All right, well, we'll just offload on this scrap right here. I'm gonna rinse my brush. Okay, so I'm thinking pink, coral, yellow, purple. Yeah, that'll work. So we'll go pink up here. And I really like having a little bit more in terms of the warm tones showing than the cool tones, just because the whole jar itself is all cool tones. Hey there, Holly. Good to see you, my dear. All right. Okay, that worked pretty well. I'm just going to offload this. I don't think I have to rinse to go to the coral, so I just kind of brushed the excess paint off and went straight for the coral. I think we said we wanted this guy coral, this guy yellow, and this guy... No, I said this guy coral, huh? Yeah, I said this guy coral. Sorry. I forgot. And if I said otherwise and you're catching me and now laughing at me and calling me a doofus, well, that's cool too. You know, it's like you say something and then your brain just gets like 10 steps ahead of you and you forget what you said. And hopefully I don't lose my train of thought on you guys too often. I know it happens from time to time. So I feel like this coral is very, very bright. I'm going to just grab a kiss of white while I'm here and blend it in. So Holly asks, is that a wood cutout you're using? And in fact, no, it is a super cheap metal cutout I got from the dollar store. We originally tried to prime it with some gesso and it's so stinking shiny that it just wouldn't take. So I had to like sort of screech to a halt, break out the Mod Podge and collage some sheet music on so that it would actually take the paint. And so now we're painting over sheet music collage because this thing is just so slick. It like nothing sticks to it, which is probably why it was so inexpensive at the dollar store, because they like buffed it to a shine and were like, oops, that won't work in a regular craft store. So now we got to sell it somewhere else. Let's see. Holly says, hot pink lady, not a doofus. You must love Valentine's Day. All pink. Well, it's not all pink, but we're doing the hard things. Plus, you know, we're coming up on Valentine's Day, so I got to create the projects now, so then you guys can be like, "Ooh, which one do I feel like doing this week?" Or, you know, when you're ready for it, you don't want to be like, "Oh, that's the only one she's offering, but I want to do something else." So I figure I'd give you a range. All right, this yellow is super loud, so I'm toning it way, way, way down. More. And I feel like that yellow needs to be warmed up a little. So call me crazy. I'm going to grab a kiss of the coral and I'm going to blend it in. Yeah, there we go. Because that lemon is, that yellow is very lemony. That lemon is very yellowy. Yellow is very lemony. So by adding just a tiny, tiny bit of the coral and the white, it kind of warms it and lightens it and gets it a little bit closer to what you might find, you know, in that box of candy. And I tell you, like last night when I was out and about picking some stuff up, that's when I got this at the Dollar Tree for $1.25, because they raised their rates. I totally was looking for the sweethearts or the sweet thingies, you know, like the hearts, and I could not find them, and I was so bummed. Which is why I'm making up my own darn, you know, movie words for it instead of going with the traditional. Well, we like sassy, right? Okay, so I'm going straight to the purple and plopping that guy in here. Right, so the one thing with doing all pastels, anybody notice like what we've got going on here that's maybe not working? It's basically that everything here is almost the same value, the same. So if we were to take a photo of this and make it black and white or grayscale, these would all be very, very similar. This guy would be a little lighter, but almost everything else is the same value. Oh, I just did that. So we don't have any, so nothing here is popping. So how do we fix that? But that's fine, right? Because this is not a finished piece. This is us laying out the basic colors. So Holly says, my take on warm colors having red touch and cold with a blue touch. Is that kind of it? Yeah, yeah. Although oftentimes one would think you add some yellow or something to warm it up. But that's a very good sort of basic rule of thumb. So, you know, when you take something like a blue and you want to warm it up, you might add a little bit of red to it. But, you know, there's warm reds and cool reds, and it all gets a little confusing. So I think we might bring some of our typical insanity to this, maybe some fluorescent colors just because we can. But first, I'm going to do some lightening and some darkening and get a little bit of shadow going. And then we'll decide if we want to really make it go kapow with our crazy friend here, fluorescent red or fluorescent pink. I don't know. We'll figure it out, or whatever fluorescence we can find, right? Like, I'm all about the neons. Okay. So brain, focus. So to get a shadow in here, I need darker. These are all similar. So I'm going to grab some dioxazine purple, which I happen to have right here. Any kind of a dark purple will do. Another purple that's really fantastic for this would be something like the violet. Again, it depends on, you know, what brands you're using. But the Artist Loft, you know, violet is great. Folk Art has one as well. Any old dark, well, yeah, dark purple. You could, of course, also mix this if you wanted with teal and deep, deep, deep magenta. I'm also going to go down a size with brushes. Don't have a number on it. It's one of my Mermaid Royal Langen nickel guys, but here we go. So, of course, I always lick my brushes. I'm going to grab some of this green, bring it over here next to my purple, and I'm going to grab a little bit of that purple. I'm going to do sort of a blend. And of course, when I'm trying to get a darker color, the only way to get darker, you can't get darker with these. You have to get something with a deeper pigment. So we'll add a little shadow down here, kind of underneath. I think we can kind of get away with something similar to this for almost all of these. Whoops. How do we want that to go? It's kind of got an end edge there. Maybe come out a little bit more. So we're also kind of adding that sense of dimensionality to this guy. And I'll add some here, even though I'm not sure that necessarily wants to be a shadow spot. We'll do a little something. Now, this guy sits on top of this guy, so I'm gonna grab a little bit more green and keep mixing there. We'll kind of take that and create a light shadow right in here over top. You can see where it's kind of overlapping. That makes sense right in there. So now this guy looks like he's sitting on top of this guy. Boom. Oh, hey, Christy. She says, that's cute. And Cassie says, checked at the Dollar Tree near me a few days ago. Not great on art craft supplies. Like I heard from crafters in other states, just one row of a few items. So I went in the Valentines section. Oh no, I got this in the craft section, but I was at the one in, it wasn't necessarily my usual one. It was a slightly larger one. And it was total quinky dink. I was even in there. All right. So since I'm here, let's see. This guy's next. This guy. Sorry, I'm looking at these all order of operations. So I'm going to take some pink because this is one of the background ones too, and some purple and mix. Now, I didn't bother rinsing my brush. So I'm using the purple to tone the shadows, but notice I'm kind of trying to use a purple that is, or the violet that is tinged with the parent color. So if I'm using the pink shadow is going to be a different purple than the shadow for the green shadow. But it'll all feel related and kind of like a family because we're using, you know, the same tinter. a little something right in here. Again, this was fully free-handed. If you guys decide that you really need a tracer, I'm happy to do that, because you could do this on canvas. You could totally do this on canvas or any other surface for that matter. And if you like, I can also provide a link where you can actually purchase a wooden one of these, which, let me tell you, the wood would be so much easier to deal with than this metal. That metal is a little bit ridiculous. Okay, and then we know there's a shadow here, so grabbing just a little bit more pink to that purple mix, the pink purple mix, gonna place it right there. All right. So we just want those overlaps to feel a little believable. And then of course I'm gonna grab a little bit more of the darker purple, because we've got some overlap happening here. Just kind of blend it up, maybe even along the edge, just a light blend. In fact, I like that so well. We'll do a little bit here too, just a little bit at the base. It's a very small amount, just a little darker. Okay, next up, this guy. No bother rinsing, so we'll take our light purple and our dark purple. And I could pretty much get away with just using the pink mix if I wanted, no biggie. We're gonna have kind of a blend. So we'll have the shadow happening underneath. So again, we're always looking for where's that underneath point. And I think it's right here for this guy. Gotta be careful of my edges. I think we need a little bit darker. Did I go too dark? Maybe. That maybe didn't work either. We'll get it. We'll get it. I'll lift that a bit with my finger. So that's the beauty of when you're working with wet paint and dry paint. If you need to just lift some of the paint, but not all of it, you can always just plop your finger down and lift straight up, and you can do a lot of fixing that way. So I'm basically just, I kind of defaulted back to just pure violet for this guy. Trying to mix it down wasn't necessarily working. So now you're starting to see the shadows evolving. Is that metal? You saw the metal one at our $1.25 store today. Yes, that is exactly the one. I tried to paint on it and it sucked. So I flipped it over and decoupage sheet music on, because that was the only way I could get paint to stick. So, you know, we get creative on the fly. Okay, so I do want some of this sort of mixed, lightened, deep violet for the little shadow right here. A little bit right in there where it overlaps, and we'll do a little bit right here where it kind of overlaps. I think we also have kind of an edge. I don't know. I'm struggling with that section right there, but no problem. We got it. Okay. Next up, we'll do the coral. So I'm going to offload a little bit just so that, and then we'll take the coral, we'll bring it over here, and we'll put some purple in. So this one's going to get kind of muddy and funky, but again, I think it's still going to be more believable than trying to use just the same purple. So it's going a little bit more kind of in the brown zone, but you see how these purples all still feel related because we're using that one violet to tint them. And so that's, I hope that's one of your key takeaways for today. See, Holly says, that is amazing, especially for that minty green that sort of merged with the blue. It really does come to life. And yes, that is exactly it. It's the value thing that makes it pop, because it was very sort of blah. And so that's why we picked out that darker shaded violet, deep violet, dioxazine, all these fancy words, dioxazine, quinacridone. Oops, paint bogeys. Better that find its way to the trash than into the bottom of my shoe and tracked everywhere. Did I tell you guys, like one day I left out like wet paint and the cat like walked through it and then like walked all the way up the stairs and left like little paw prints everywhere. And you know, it's one thing if it's like white paint where you can see, but it was brown paint. And so it totally like blended with my wood floors. And so then when I see these little brown paw prints on my white sheets, I'm like, oh my God. Did he just track poop everywhere? Apparently not, thank God. Oh, look, we need a shadow right here. So I'm going to grab a little bit more of the coral and do a lighter version of that purple for the shadow kind of here. I might need to go a little darker. We'll see. Again, we just want it to kind of look like it's like these two are casting a shadow on our heart. Yeah, I don't love it. My paper here is a little noisy. So I'm going to grab into some of that darker purple or the darker edging color and kind of take it down here in the corner and just start to blend up a little bit. See if I can use my fingers to lighten that transition. No, I'm not going to stress about it. We'll make some tweaks because, yeah, we'll make some tweaks. I'm just kind of making a mess of that. It happens. Actually, I'm just going to keep going up along the edges. We'll darken the edges a little. Offload, grab a little bit more of the coral, and we'll just kind of blend in a little pinch of white. I could be mixing my paints on the palette, but we're using such small amounts for this that I think I can just get away with kind of blending right here on my working surface. Okay, there we go. That took a minute. I was like, no, it's not behaving. I'm going to rinse. Just because we're going to go now mix. This feels like the unthinkable, but we're going to take violet. I have some here. And some yellow. And this is not going to be pretty. It's not pretty. Tyler left paw prints too. I was painting my accent wall. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So I think this one wants a little bit of white to kind of bring it. So I got too much yellow in this one, right? I need to add more purple. This one feels like it's going to be a fine balance, right? Because purple and, let's try some of the light purple, maybe something. Purple and yellow, they're opposite colors, right? They're complementary. They make brown. They make like a solid mush. So I want this to be a pleasant color, not a diarrhea color. Excuse me, not a bodily function color. So, if you start with too much, you just kind of work on it until you get it right. Almost there, almost there. I just want to cool it a little bit more. There we go. Okay, that took a minute. But again, these all sort of feel related because we've used that purple there. A little extra paint on my brush. And we'll come in and I think, ooh, where's the shadow on this guy? He's like almost straight on. So I think since he's casting a shadow here, I'm going to put his edge on this side. And that is way too dark. So we'll come in with a little bit of white to kind of lighten that. So I put just a tiny dab of white on my palette and just kind of worked the brush into it. I definitely feel like this is the harder piece, right? Because I want to get it right without making it icky. I'm not sure that that's necessarily a shadow part right there, but okay. So now for this one, I'm going to grab a little bit more white and blend it into that mush color I just created. And create a little bit of highlight along the edge there. Okay, so now these guys are starting to get a sense of dimension. I think also just to help. So I'm going to flatten this brush a lot, like kind of flatten it right into that paint color. I'm going to add a little tiny edge on this guy, just a little tiny edge. Oh, Michelle says, I love those colors. Thank you. So Michelle, the thing that we're facing here and trying to sort out is how do we do a whole bunch of pastels and make them still pop and feel believable? Like I'm trying to sell this without it all kind of you know, blending into the background. So we're getting there. I'm going to rinse my brush real quick. Step back to my bigger guy. And now I want to do a lighter section in the middle. Also, this yellow is sadly in need of a second coat. So I'm just going to grab some of that now, kind of coat it in. And I'm going to grab some white and kind of blend to create a lighter surface kind of towards the center, because these things are not always perfectly flat. So if we've got a little bit of extra color, a little brightness kind of happening in the center, got a little gap right in there where the collage bit didn't stay down, which is fine. And then we'll come in with maybe even a little bit more white to again start to just, we're sort of adding that we got the base colors in, and now we're starting to add the contrast. So the lighter values and the darker values. Again, if you feel like you're creating a really stark edge with your white paint, soften it. You can dry brush it. You can offload your brush, get rid of most of that paint, and then kind of come in and do a dry brush blend or even scrub. And again, I'm just kind of layering this in, the white in slowly. So I might even have kind of a pretty whitish spot here in the middle. As long as I kind of create a softer blend along the edges, that it's believable, you don't really see that it's white in the middle. Hey there, Linda. She says you're just getting here. Oh, guys, I'm going to flip it over one more time so you know. Oh, Marcia, you're sharing. Thank you. So this is one of those metal, inexpensive things from the Dollar Tree for $1.95. $1.25. $1.25. I can't even speak. $1.25. It wouldn't take paint, so we did some collage, Mod Podge on it to make it do its thing. So we've lightened this guy, so now it's starting to have a bit of contrast. So since we're here, we'll do this guy. Grab the green, bring it over here, get some white in there. And we'll just kind of start to add sort of highlighty bits of green. I very, very much appreciate it when you guys spread the word about these videos. It helps me keep doing this. So I tell you, I would love to just do this all day long for you guys. So the sprinkling and the love is so appreciated. Okay, so I got a little bit of white in there, and now you can see it feels like there's some light on the on the surface. Let's see, Cassie says, off topic because I have cats. You have a cat 6 months old now who has decided to dig in your plants. How do you stop him? Oh boy. I don't know. Different cats respond to different things. Tinfoil sometimes works, but not all cats. I mean, I got one who likes tinfoil. Eek. But welcome to the first year is the worst. And I'd forgotten about that. And one of my friends was like, yeah, so by the way, just remember the first year sucks. And I was like, okay. So, you know, when they were like tearing everything up and I was like pulling my hair out, I was like, oh yeah, her words were there kind of in my head being like, this part's gonna suck. But I honestly didn't have that many plants, or I tried to keep them out of the way. I don't know that I have good advice for you on that, so I'm sorry. Oh, and so Christy says, almost bought this at Dollar Tree today to do the same thing. Yeah, great minds do think alike. And this is kind of a popular concept. I've seen it a lot on the internet. I had some sketches from last year that I never quite got around to. So I'm like, I think this one's kind of public domain. So I touched up the coral a little bit in a few spots because I had some bald areas. Now just grabbing the white, I'm just going to kind of work it right into that wet paint, which is also why I kind of go in and do some of that touch up and get that in there. So again, we're just blending the lighter sections. It's a pretty harsh line right in there. We will soften it and get it right. So you notice I just offloaded a whole bunch of paint, and now I'm coming in with almost a dry brush. There's a little bit of coral in there, and I can kind of massage that color together. Did you ever think that you would be a masseuse for paint? You are. All right, just kind of working that in. And again, you're trying to create sort of highlights and lowlights. I feel like I could amp this one up, but we'll see. So now we've got a brighter spot. And now these are starting to pop off. Let's see. Cassie says, which one? Oh, whoa. Oh my god. Oh, oh my gosh. Okay. I'm like catching up here. You guys are having this great chat. So your cat likes to chew cables too. That's not good. And then Linda says essential oils, and Cassie wants to know which essential oil. So Linda, if there's an essential oil you would like to recommend to Cassie to help her with her cat problem, I'm sure she would appreciate it. All right, so moving into the purple, this is super dry, so I'm just going to create kind of a lighter blend. I did rinse my brush because I didn't really want the coral getting in here. Ah, okay. So Linda says lavender because the cats are super sensitive. That's right. I hear they don't like lavender. Okay. Not 100% sure. I kind of nailed it on this one. So I'm going to go back and add some just straight of that lavender color in here around some of the edges. So I've got a wet paint to actually work with. Now coming back in with some white. There we go. So going straight on dry, it doesn't allow you to get that kind of blended edge as much. So adding a little bit more of the color that's meant to be dark along the edges for blending is good. So we got a lot of paint going on there. I'm going to offload right here on my palette, and then I'm going to start to blend some of that in. And I think I'm taking this purple a few notches lighter. And we'll just kind of eek. This one's kind of gotten away from me. So bringing some of that darker purple along the edges here, and then we'll blend it in. Because again, when we're trying to blend, we don't like harsh edges. Oh, and Marcia says, great cookie jar for Valentines for heart cookies. Yeah, totally. Ooh, I haven't made cookies in ages. I used to love doing sugar cookies. So you notice I keep kind of lightening. I start and then I come in and add a little bit more. It really does pay off to kind of go in layers, to be like, okay, how we doing? All right, we're kind of getting there. And then we want to just lighten and lighten and lighten. Now I feel like that's kind of gotten to a good spot. So rinsing to get rid of the violet or purple or whatever that is. Come in with a pink. Got a whole edge here I just sort of missed. So I'll add that. And then I'm just going to add a little bit more pink around the rim of this guy, which is going to help me blend. And in general, we're trying to aim for the lightness in the centers because these things are never quite flat. So I'm assuming that they sort of curve down at the edges a little bit and are a little bit concave, convex. I don't know which. Again, here I go, wanting to use some technical science terms and not having a clue which word I'm supposed to use. All right, a little white here because I've got a good little bit of white of wet paint. I'll just add some of that white here. Again, it's a little rough at first. And we'll blendy, blendy, blend, blendy, blendy, blend. So here's another thing. If you're watching this from the Let's Paint with Blue Cat group, awesome. If you know somebody else or have other arty friends who you think would enjoy this, please feel free to invite them to that free group, the Let's Paint with Blue Cat. I really am working to grow it, and that's kind of where I like to like post tracers and other fun freebies. Of course, my inner circle folks are the premium crew, and you guys get the everything. You get the everything. But I do try to confer a little bit more benefits on the Let's Paint guys than I do with just what's on my page. Plus, it's a lot easier the way groups are arranged to actually, organize some of the information so that you guys can find it again. All right, so now we've got some good, Linda says that jar of hearts would look terrific on your door hanger. Yeah, totally. So now we've got it's starting to come together. So I don't know if we have any edges that we want to tighten up. I have a tiny bit of purple. Oh no, that's not purple. That's pencil. Okay, I'm gonna grab a fine liner, which is, here's one. All right, lick it so it comes into a nice point. I mean, you don't have to lick it, but I'm gonna go straight into our violet. I'm just gonna kind of, all right, it needs a little water. My violet's starting to get a little sticky, a little bit. It's got like a little scum forming on the top layer. So a little water is just going to help me create like long, slender lines to kind of pull. And I think I'm just going to do that kind of on all of these again to help. You could also outline with black, but black is such a harsh color, you know, and so stark, especially when you're working in all pastels. That sometimes just doing a little something here and there. Like this is going to be less jarring, I guess. I mean, it is a mason jar, but still less jarring. All right. How are we doing on time? Oh my gosh, almost going for an hour. Well, the joys of having my schedule changed this particular semester or quarter. I'm gonna add a little extra darkness right down here at the bottom as I kind of do a partial outline on that shadow. We'll do a little partial outline here. So if we'd kept this a lot simpler and didn't go with all the shadows and stuff, you could totally whip this sucker out pretty fast. All right, I'm going to rotate around and get the top of this heart here. If you guys are interested in the mermaid tail brushes, let me know. I can post a link. Oh, wait. You just researched. Oh, Cassie says I had to get the mermaid tail brushes arriving today. Oh my gosh. That's awesome. Oh, and Linda, you just got yours too. Nice. And I know Holly has some mermaid tail brushes. Yeah, anything you guys see that I have that you're like, I want one, let me know. I will find the link and get it posted for you guys. Full disclosure, I do. I shop a lot on Amazon because ain't nobody got time to go to the craft store, at least not that often. But again, I'm also kind of a savvy shopper. So if it's going to cost me like $2 at the craft store and like $6 on Amazon, I'm going to the craft store. Oh my gosh. And you guys, like I was talking about wanting to start investing in some of like the higher end, like fancier paints, like the golden, you know, like level 3 heavy body professional artist paints. And I'm like, okay, you know what? We'll just do like one tube a month and slowly build the collection. Well, at the craft store yesterday or at Michael's, I finally bought my first tube of golden. Oh, Santa. Yeah, Holly, Santa brought you some mermaid brushes. I know. See, she's my cousin, so sometimes I get to play Santa. All right, again, just getting these things in. But anyways, yeah, so can you guys guess what color I bought? That's my first color. Oh, you have some golden paints. Well, nice, Cassie. That's cool. I just was like looking at the price like $17, $18 a tube. Are you kidding me? I could get these craft paints for $2 a bottle. All right. Okay, so that little bit of purple outlining helps. Pink, blue. Oh, you guys, you're all so close. The answer, of course, is quinacridone magenta, which is basically this guy, only fancy stuff. I've been ogling this one for ages. The other one I was looking at, they had this beautiful teal color. But another thing to look at actually when shopping is like right in here. This one is a pigment. These are very expensive. This is a it's a synthetic pigment, but it's a pure one. And right in here, at least on the goldens, it will say mixed or melange if it's a blend. And so for my starter ones, I'm going to get ones that are not mixed because like the teal I was looking at and kind of drooling over, I realized they had basically just taken that color and mixed it with titanium white. And I was like, well, I can do that. Let's start with the pure pigments. And then, you know, as we expand out, you know, I can do more. All right, rinsing, rinsing, rinsing. Now we're going to add some white highlights. I'm going to stick with this guy. And, oh, you know what? Before I go too far, I've got like a big purple gunge right there on that. And I don't want to get white. I don't want to get purple in it. And I think they print on these with purple too. So we'll come back to the purple in a minute. I just want to get some cute highlighted lights on there. Maybe a little, ooh, geez. A little something kind of right in here on the upper portions. Just a little. I know I gave it like this sort of shadow look, but I feel like some of those are like highlighty spots. Like here is kind of highlighty. All right. And let's get this jar going too, right? Oops, I need a little highlight right in this section too. Okay. I'm gonna turn it sideways. I need a mason jar to look at so I could be like, how do these things go? Or maybe we just won't stress about it. So I'm gonna get some lines kind of going along the portion here. We know we're gonna want some stuff kind of here. Well, something like so. Notice I'm not going with full lines, I'm just kind of doing little bits. See, so Linda said, oh, let's see. If you email Golden, they will send you various paint samples to try out. They're made. What? Oh my gosh. I'm emailing Golden. That is freaking awesome. All right. So I overdid it here. So I'm just going to kind of add a little curl there, add a little sort of curve here. Probably shouldn't have started with that part, but that's okay. And then we're going to add sort of a little bit of a white line right next to the border, but not exactly at the border. So yes, Holly, these lines are in white and they don't have to be perfect. They're allowed to break and be kind of partial lines. So we're doing, I'm thinking like a millimeter away from the edge to start with. And again, here's where we're not going with super realistic. We're kind of having fun. All right, so we got the basic lines there. And now to actually contain the jar, I'm going to come in and do a second bit, which is sort of going to be more like the inside. And you can make that a little thicker if you like. And that's going to kind of track with, it's hard to see, but then we have a slightly darker blue around the outside and slightly lighter on the inside. I'm totally going to try emailing Golden as well. That is amazing. And I feel like I thought I'd seen that they had like high-end like fluorescence as well, which I totally want to get my hands on. Okay. And see, now we're kind of starting to contain this stuff. So that space between these guys and the edges makes more sense once we get that in. Okay. And then I think we want to start to add a little highlight here. So I'm going to get a little, I'm going to press hard on my brush and sort of thicken it out and get a little bit of a shine going. And I'm not really looking at a reference here. So we're just kind of, I don't want to say making things up, but extrapolating based on our understanding. And then maybe a little something here. Trying to keep it mostly in a straight line. And it feels so weird to like just cover right over some of those things that we just work so hard to paint. Now for this one, you want that highlight to actually come a little bit further right into that sort of the edge line. That way it feels more natural. Oh, let's see. Hello, Wendy. Good afternoon from freezing cold Iowa, sprinkled with love. Thank you. Thank you. So I don't have your name. It says Facebook user. If you want to just say hi and put your name in there from Iowa so I know who you are, I will absolutely call you out by name. StreamYard is a little bit funny that way. Oh, you saw some magnificent hot pink fluorescence, like at Golden or Michael's or where? I'm so interested. I've seen some other artists having like these huge collections. I'm like, wow, one day. Squad goals, right? So adding a little bit more of this kind of coming down. And again, this is a fine liner. It may or may not be the appropriate brush, but I figure if I'm just working with like, you know, limiting the number of brushes I work with, it just keeps things simpler for the supply list and for shopping and all that. And again, these little liner brushes, you can often just kind of press down and really thicken the line quite a bit. Because they really, and the beauty of the longer bristle ones, at first I thought that was annoying. That was when I was first starting out. But then I was like, oh, look at that. It holds more pigment. It just gives you a little bit more wiggle room. Oh, hi, Sherry Nichols. Thank you for putting your name in. I love knowing who's there. Okay, so maybe one more spot right here, kind of on this guy. Let's make sure we're respecting that curve. I'm not going to go all the way down with this one. I'm just going to kind of catch a little extra light kind of right here along the top portion. Maybe a little highlight there. Again, we're just trying to make it feel natural. And again, we're still kind of in the realm of whimsical. We need to get some words on these guys. So let's do this thing. Okay, so first up, Han Solo. I know. All right, you guys, my lettering is awful. Let's use a pencil. So let's see. Okay, I think I can get away with this if I do. Yeah, so there's I know squad goals for sure. And let's see, this one here is going to be from Ghost, so it's going to be Ditto. I feel like I really date myself with these movies, but you know, it's cool. Let's see, As You Wish on this one. So as you, I'm just going with sort of bold, blocky letters, trying to stay even. As you wish. Okay, love, poor love. This will be our other semi-princess bride. Oh no, it's not going to be even. All right, we're just going to mess with it and go like that. It's fine. And then a simple XOXO on this guy, because you know what? I ran out of short, like 2 and 3 word quotes for movies. I carried a watermelon. Oh my. Yeah. All right, I want a little bit more of this violet in there, so I'm going to bring the darker violet in, get a little bit of the lighter violet, kind of make a medium purple. I want this to show, because you know they always use some weird, I guess, edible purple ink. I don't really know. I'm not in the candy making business. Leslie and Princess Buttercup. Yes, indeed. As you wish. Maybe I'm wanting one from Forrest Gump because, you know, Jenna is also Buttercup. I was looking up quotes online and there were like all these like long run-on sentences. And I was like, no. These have to be short and pithy and paintable. Oh, Christy, your husband's fave is Princess Bride. I know, I love it. The kid's dad made them watch it too, so I was very much appreciating that. All right, just mixing, I don't know if this is still on camera here. I'm just mixing a little bit more of the dark purple. Yeah. I mean, who doesn't love Princess Bride? Well, okay, maybe I shouldn't ask. I don't want to hear a no. I just remember like as a tween, like I hadn't seen it yet. And a bunch of my friends were like talking about it and explaining the whole movie. And I finally got my chance to see it and was like, you know, as a tween. So that made me happy. Okay, first one down. True love. Is my white dry enough that I can get my hands on it? Okay, here comes Wesley and Buttercup. I think I need a little bit darker purple on that one just so you can really see it against that peach. Thank goodness for pencils. I would have totally messed this up if I was trying to just freehand it with a brush. I'm a huge fan of pencils and pencil sharpeners. ROUSs. I was watching the other day. I was watching something with my kids and I made a reference to that and they just looked at me like I was a nut. And I was like, no, the ROUSs, because it was like something or other. It actually had rodents of an unusual size in a fire swamp. And I'm like, it was a modern show. And I was like, is that like a sneaky reference? That looks like a sneaky reference to me. I can't remember what it was. Oh, well. I guess I go watch like my Netflix history and be like, yep, that was a thing. Oh, Cassie, you never saw The Princess Bride. It's pretty good. It really is. So, next time you're like in the mood for like a cheesy, sappy, wholesome adventure romance comedy, like that's a good one. I know I absolutely love to put movies on in the background, although so often when I'm recording, I probably can't have them on. So then I just kind of save them for when I'm like experimenting. But it has to be a movie I've seen before, because if I haven't seen it, then I'm like all eyes on the TV. So I love like rewatching movies. I don't know about you guys, but I really love rewatching movies because it's almost like having a friend in the background. It's like a story you can follow, but you don't have to give it like your full attention. So of course, Pride and Prejudice, always like. But then you have to like look up for like the really good parts, like, oh, they're about to kiss. I gotta pause everything and I gotta see that happen, or they're gonna give each other that smoldering look. I gotta pause. Just me? Am I weird? It could be. But like that was something I started in college. Like I just loved how like anytime I was trying to do something, not so much write a paper, but if I was like having to do a drawing or a sketch or some kind of homework that didn't involve reading, I would just like put Star Wars on in the background because I knew every line. So I didn't have to watch it. I could just listen to it and follow along. And it helped me actually stay focused. So I'm really big on that. So like I'm working on a big data analysis project at work / with school. And so I find like working on those spreadsheets is so much easier with like an audiobook going in the background, because then I'm like, messing with the data, doing the tasks, and not getting sidetracked. All right, here we go. We're almost there. Oh my goodness, you guys. This one's taking a little bit of work. Oops, that got a little bit dark. All right, here we go. Put a little bit more of the light on that. I don't like it quite so dark. Yep, here. Me. And so even if you're kind of varying like the darkness of the purple, based on each of these, as long as it kind of has that same sense of light to dark ratio, you can usually get away with it and they'll all seem the same. All right, I need to tweak the ditto. You really can't tell that it says ditto. So I'm going to just kind of, yeah. So for this one, I kind of added a light amount of paint, kind of slightly scratched up onto that. So it's sort of showing through that way. That way it's not, because otherwise it looked like auto, which, is cool, but it doesn't have a own romantic thing. Let's see. So Holly says, never seen P&P. Oh, Pride and Prejudice? Oh, if you're going to watch Pride and Prejudice, the Keira Knightley one is really is really quite good. It's shorter, and so I feel like it's a little bit more achievable. So I want some dark bits in here. I'm going to rinse my brush. I'm going to go find me a dark teal. This is, what do I have here? This is peacock teal. Because it's here, I could also use mermaid tail, but I think it fell off my desk last night, and I'd have to, like, you know, go crawl around it on the floor and find it. So, oh, there it is. I see it. Okay, so peacock teal. So I feel that this jar, while kind of cute, is a little, it needs a little bit of darkness to it as well. So I'm going to add a couple of sort of bits of dark lines in between. Oh, so yeah, you've been listening to, is that you, Christy, who said you've been listening to audiobooks as well lately? I love them. Like, I discovered that my my library, they have this app called Libby, and I think most libraries offer it now, where you can just go and download books. And so I'm like plowing through like the whole Outlander, you know, the one with the Sassenach, that one, the whole Outlander series, which is awesome. And then, like, I don't know, always got stuff on hold, and then when it's ready, it like comes. Yeah, DC has Libby, like a lot of the Prince William County here in Virginia has Libby. So I'm adding a couple of these darks. Sorry, getting off camera. Adding some of these just little dark lines in here to kind of help emphasize. And, you know, I also want to kind of edge a little bit on this jar here. I don't know that there's necessarily a ton of rhyme or reason to this. You know, just enough to kind of make it feel like it makes sense. So a lot of these white lines, especially when they're defining the jar itself, are going to have a companion dark line. All right, so I'm going to rotate this guy back around. And then I think we could even, I feel like I'm going a risk here, but I'm going to do a little bit of a dark highlight here, kind of at the base. I don't know if I like that. You know what? Never mind. Let's make it go away. Let's see if we can make it go away. Never mind. Okay, better. But you can have a little bit more darkness kind of in the base, because again, it's going to be absorbing some of the darker colors. So you can kind of thicken it through there, thicken it kind of right here at the neck a little bit. But again, I'm trying to create, not, the lines aren't solid and fully connected. We want to kind of space them and give them a little room, a little randomness. But darkening and thickening in a few spots with that teal really helps. Yeah. And I need a little bit in here. I do. I just want a little bit of a teal. Yeah. I don't want to make it even. Okay, so we do need, I want to do the teal here, but I feel like I'm going to mess it up. So I think I'm going to stop while I'm ahead, and we'll call it good. So there you go. We totally had we had a good time. We painted this jar. Now it kind of looks shiny and glassy with our wove, twirl wove. All right, I want a line right here. I know this could be a problem, but I want a couple of shadows going on. That works. Okay, so I added a couple of lines. One right here, one right here. Oh, I guess I just added another one. Let me work with that. And one here. Some of that is to kind of cover up a little bit of this. Again, I'm struggling with not wanting it. I mean, we're kind of trying to find the balance between realism and not realism. So I'm going to try one more thing here with this guy. I'm going to fluff it a little, get some white. Then I'm going to offload that white over here, so it's kind of brushy. And then maybe kind of bring a little bit sort of along here, not just a little bit. And maybe a little bit more. Oh, Marsha, you're welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. But adding just a little bit of, eek, come on. You got to get it right so that you can still see your stuff, but you kind of have a little shine, a little shine of the white kind of showing. There. And again, if you're seeing this and you're like, I don't like that part, don't do it. But I want to give you options. So for the most part, most of the sheet music doesn't really show, but if I bring this way up, you can kind of see, I think, a few spots in here where it kind of peeks through. It's a little bit hard to show. All right, and then I've also got like the little holes where the rope comes through. So I will take my handy dandy poker sticks and just kind of poke through. I might have pulled that up the wrong way. All right, and then I'm going to just come back and then sort of, you really want to focus that hole punching from this side, but because I couldn't find them the other way. Then my rope or my string, stick it back in. It's almost like a shoelace. And it's nice because it has this like little cleat thing on it. So once it goes in, it sticks pretty good. Oops, need a little Mod Podge there. That guy came up. And we'll tweak it later. Let's just get this guy, show him off. It's not going to die and break in between now and when we're done. So get the cleat done. And there you go. Now you have a fun little hanger. So if you're going to hang this outside, make sure that you do some kind of something to seal it. Oh, Cassie likes mysteries. Linda says she likes the highlights. And it sounds like Christy is listening to mystery thrillers, or it could be, yeah. But yes, audiobooks are the best. So there you go. Isn't that fun? You could totally hang it up. Yay. All right, you guys, I love you. I will see you next time. Have a great rest of your day. Bye, guys.